Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are discussing the last section. And the last section, I'll just recap. In the sixth chapter, we began with section 1 from 1 to 9, from Aruruksha to Arud stage, where the yogi doesn't give up Nishkam Karma Yoga, Anashrita Karma Phalam, Karyam Karma Karotiya, Sa Sannyasi cha Yogi cha, Na Niragnir na Chakri. So then Krishna defines that sannyas and yoga are the same. And then Arurikshish, Munir Yogam, Karma Karana Muchate. Karma is the means of elevation. But in Yoga Ruda, Shama Karana. Such, actions is the means for higher elevation. And the importance of control of mind, those two verses, and symptoms of one who has controlled the mind, Jitatmana Prashantasya. And then from 10 to 30, the practice, from practice to perfection, the realization of Brahman, realization of Paramatma, and realization of Bhagwan, Yomam Pashyati Sarvatra. We saw that. Now, after hearing this, Arjuna says, he has questions on dealing with the mind. So Krishna answers, and he says, Asamshayam Asamshayam Mahabhava Mano Dirnigram Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyacha Griyate. So that's how Krishna answers. We saw that here. And then he says that yoga is not possible. Yoga dushprapya, for whose mind is without practice and detachment. This you should note down now. Because based on this, Arjuna is going to ask a question again. And it is possible, avaptum shakya, for one who endeavors and controls the mind. Vasha atmana tu yatata. One who controls the mind and also endeavors by intense practice. Upayata. And the real upaya will be Bhakti Yoga, which we'll discuss in the 7th chapter onwards. So based on this, now this last section is what we are going to do. Is what based on this, what Krishna has spoken, especially this last verse, Arjuna has a question. If mind deviates over here, what is his destination? If he doesn't, control his mind and he doesn't develop detachment and he fails in yoga, so what is his destination? Arjuna is going to ask question, and Krishna is going to answer that, and then he will speak about the topmost yogi also. He'll speak about the topmost yogi. Okay. So now let's take up this section. Arjuna Vacha. Ayatah Shraddaya Yogaachalitamānasa Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kham Gatim Krishna Gacchati. Arjuna said, Arjuna Vacha, O Krishna, what is the destination of one? Kam Gatim Gacchati. Who, although having faith, now here the faith in this is in the faith of the yoga process, Shraddaya Upeta, does not continue to endeavor. Ayata does not means it's not that completely he does not. Vishnu Chandra Thakur will make it clear. It's that he puts very little endeavor, not that he doesn't put any endeavor. Because of unsteady mind, yoga chalita manasa, and does not attain the goal of yoga, samadhi. Aprapya yoga samsiddhim, samyak rupena siddhim, complete perfection. That is samadhi. So he doesn't attain perfection. So for us as devotees, if we don't attain, what is the samsiddhim for us as devotees? Who will answer? What will be the samsiddhi for us, devotees? Tirthpad Prabhuji. What will be samsiddhim for us?
uh, to
What is the samsiddhim?
reach the ultimately Take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord to reach
Yeah. Yeah, but what is that stage called?
uh, prema.
Ah, we want that answer, prema. So if you don't attain prema in this life, then you have not attained something good. So this is a very, very important question by Arjuna. And actually, uh, Arjuna is highly disturbed three places in the Bhagavad Gita. His heart is disturbed. One at the beginning of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when he's put in illusion, and then because of bodily concept, he starts identifying himself with all these relatives, and then Krishna, by giving knowledge of the soul, he pacifies his heart. And as the Bhagavad Gita is going on now, in the sixth chapter, that is somewhere in the middle, you can say, somewhere in the middle, not exactly in the middle, this is somewhere now, you know, what will happen if I don't attain perfection? So his heart is disturbed here. And in the end of the Bhagavad Gita, when he's not able to decide which path to follow, and Krishna then answers Sarva Dharman Paritejya. Just before that, also his heart disturbed. His heart is disturbed. Now, this disturbance of the heart is not a material disturbance, what we feel, but this is a spiritual disturbance because of, not attaining the goal of the life. So, one of the first Bhakti Shastri manuals was printed by one of the sannyasis. His name is, I'm not able to recollect right now. I'm not able to recollect. I have read that entire Bhakti Shastri manual. And he was the first to start these Bhakti Shastri courses in VIHE way back in 1988. 1977, Prabhupada left this planet. And after 10 years, maybe 10, 11 years, they started these systematic courses. And the sannyasi mentions in the introduction why I started studying in depth the Bhagavad Gita or the Bhakti Shastri courses. Because as he was in the movement, suddenly, few devotees left the movement and he became highly disturbed. And he went to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, these devotees left the movement. So Prabhupada looked at him very seriously and gravely and he answered, gave the grave voice. He said, when there is a war, there will naturally be casualties. You have to expect that there will be casualties. So we are fighting a war against Maya. Just like in any war, there's there's no possibility that there'll not be any casualties and deaths. Casualties, okay, but death happens then, that's really serious. So death is like you commit Vaishnava Aparadha and you stop practicing bhakti, you know. And casualties are because of aparadha, your progress is impeded or you get deviated from the practices, all that. So that was the answer. And that impelled him to, start studying Prabhupada books very seriously. So if you don't study Prabhupada books seriously, then, we might get deviated from the path of yoga. Yoga Chalita Manasa, you know. Because of the unsteady mind, we don't make any progress. We get deviated, and we don't attain the goal. So this question is very, very important and relevant for all of us here. So let's see what Vishnu Chakra Thakur has to say on this. One second. You have said that yoga can be attained by a person who endeavors through practice and detachment. So that's what in the previous verse, 36th verse, Krishna spoke about it. You know, that asayamatam yoga prapya dushprap. You know, let me read that verse. I don't know that verse. Yeah. Asanyam atmana yogo dushprapya iti me mati vasha atmana tu yatata. One who controls the mind and one who endeavors. That is by practice and detachment. One who endeavors. So this you have spoken. This is 6.36. You have spoken about. You have said. What happens to a person who does not endeavor or does not or who does not practice and does not have detachment? He puts in only a little effort. Oh, yata. So little effort means, he doesn't put, intense efforts. Now here, note the prefix a in the word ayati indicates a little rather than no, because a actually cancels, no effort, but it indicates little. As in the phrase colorless porridge, which actually means porridge is with insufficient color. There is color, but it is insufficient. So something like that, ayata means. He starts with the practice of yoga with faith and in the yoga scriptures. So this is, practice of yoga. For us, it is bhakti yoga. And in yoga scriptures, for us, it is bhakti literatures, BLL, right? And therefore, he's not an imposter. But he deviates from yoga for his mind turns to object of enjoyment because of lack of practice and detachment. So we are also troubled by the Vishaya. Samsara Vishanale Divanishi Yajale. Thus he does not attain complete perfection. Some siddhim. So what about this person who doesn't attain complete? Some stands for Samyak complete. Samyak Rupena Siddhim Samsiddhim. But he has attained some results since he has begun the first stage of progressing in yoga after the stage for aspiring for yoga. So he has made some progress. Okay, further. Okay, yeah, there is no purport by Bhaktivinoda Thakur on this. Let's take. Now, further, Arjuna, he's explaining the state of this yogi. Kvachinno vibrashta छिन्नाभर इव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाभाव विमूढ़ो ब्रह्मणपति. Does he not disappear? Kvachin nashyati. Nashyati means he disappears like a fragmented cloud. Chinna Brahma iva. So Prabhupada writes, the instead of the fragmented cloud, Prabhupada writes like a riven cloud. Now, what is a riven cloud? The riven cloud is like a small cloud which is along with the big clouds, you know, but it doesn't join the big cloud, but it loses its path, and then the small cloud, completely breaks apart. It's completely destroyed, into all pieces. So this small cloud joining the book, big cloud is as good as he attaining perfection, samsiddhim. And he neither attains samsiddhi, nor he is, he's completely like a riven cloud or a fragmented cloud. So a yogi who fails in both ways, ubhaya vibrashtaha. Now both ways here refers to he neither attains perfection in karma yoga nor in ashtanga yoga. In karma yoga in form of sarga, in ashtanga yoga in the form of liberation. So he's like a riven cloud. What is his situation? Not having achieved the goal, apratishta, and bewildered vimuda about the method of achieving Brahman, Brahmana Pati. Brahman means here a liberation, you can say. So that's what even the spiritual realization on the path. That's what Bhaktivinoda. Kvachit indicates only a question. Having failed to attain both sides, having given up the path of karma and taken completely to the path of yoga, and having given up that also, does he not disappear like a cloud which separates from the original cloud and does not become another cloud, but instead disappears in the middle of the sky, which I just now explained? The difficulty is that from having entered the path of yoga, one develops a desire to give up enjoyment of material objects. But because of the real detachment, also lack of real detachment, he has the desire to enjoy the objects. So, is this situation for us also? Is it not the same for us? What do you feel? What are your thoughts? Let me hear from you all. Is it not the situation for us also like this? That we still have the desire to we are practicing bhakti. We sincerely don't want to enjoy and we want to attain Krishna. But we see that we are battling with the senses. So our situation is also similar. What are your thoughts? Because we have not attained detachment from the sense objects. Anyone would like to share their thoughts on this? Tirthpad Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Means irrespective of doing our devotional service, we have because of anarthas and we have desires also
Mm.
to fulfill, to accumulate more and more wealth and attached to household affairs. These all things are there. Means they're not completely detached. That attachment is there for everything, for sense enjoyment.
Yeah. So although we are practicing bhakti, so we don't practice separately vairagya as a sadhana because that sadhana is part of Ashtanga and Gyan. We practice only the angas of bhakti, and whatever karma we do, we dovetail to Krishna. So that's why the bhakti is mixed. You know. But once we have transcended the modes and then the bhakti is shuddha, even then also we do bhajan kriya, which by which anarth nivriti happens. We have to cross the stage of nishta, ruchi, asakti and attain sadhya bhakti, which is bhava. Because Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. Prayojita means when bhakti attains prayojan. That is sadhya bhakti. Janeti ashu vairagyam. Then there is detachment. So until you attain bhava, the detachment, you know, which is a natural byproduct of bhakti doesn't come. So we have to have a clear picture. And if we are in hopes, array, I'm practicing bhakti, why detachment? Array, at what stage you are now? You have to know that. We are still, have we entered into the realm of pure devotional service first? And within the realm, at least we should come to the stage of Nishta. Nishta Ruchi, then, it's going towards Krishna more, and then naturally this detachment comes. So we should have a very clear picture of, like you are going from, you're taking a journey from one place to another place, and you don't know, it's 20,000 kilometers. You just start, maybe thinking overnight you'll reach. But no, Baba, it is going to take at least few months because it is 20,000 kilometers. So we should have that idea and we should not expect that, we will attain detachment. So detachment is a natural byproduct of bhakti. We don't endeavor for it, but it comes only when we cross the anarth nivritti stage also. We have to understand. Because of not doing activities leading to Sargalaka and also not completing the practice of yoga leading to liberation, he attains neither Swarga nor liberation. So I mentioned this. Thus, becoming bewildered in the method of attaining Brahman, not having achieved the goal of Pratishtha, does he get destroyed or not? This I ask you. So this is, this, I ask you. And especially, this is experienced those who have been practicing in the Brahmacharya ashram. It's not so much for the grahasthas. The ashram, those who practice, and they are after many many years they don't attain steadiness in the ashram, so neither they can continue in the brahmacharya ashram, and if they go to grahastha ashram also, you know it is difficult because they are already quite old, and they cannot, you know they experience more frustration. And actually grahastha ashram is a natural ashram for purification to happen, because those who go through the grahastha ashram, you know and evolve through the Garashastram, the purification of the Antakaran happens even in the practice of bhakti, not just like in Karma Yoga. And then they become mature, and then they get a natural detachment. They can take Vanaprastha, and then they can take sannyas. And these sannyasis are very steady. Whereas a brahmachari who cannot be steady and he might not take sannyas, but he should be like a sannyasi, and he's not able, and he's still, his heart is internally disturbed by anarthas to enjoy sense objects. So neither he can stay in the brahmacharya ashram, and even if he moves into the grihastha ashram, there will be more frustration because he has passed that age. Maybe if he's 40, 45, 50, you know so this is a predicament. So neither he's successful anyways, as a successful grahastha through which he can naturally evolve. Because at 50, you have to actually become vanaprastha. But at 50, you're entering grahastha, then what? And the body is already dwindling. You're supposed to prepare for death that time. So this is a predicament today in the society. We have to understand. Without giving up selfish fruitive activities, one cannot practice yoga. For foolish person, the path of fulfilling material desires is the cause of auspiciousness. Because of this, the person may achieve happiness in this world And by pious activities, he will achieve the heavenly planet. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes systematically, you know, that to practice yoga, you have to, you know, sarva sankalpa sannyasi. You have to be free from the desires to enjoy. But foolish persons who want to fulfill material desires, this person can achieve happiness by pious activities, the path of karma by which he can attain swarga. Upon becoming inclined towards yoga, however, he transcends selfish material desires. But because of the aforementioned reasons, lack of endeavor, lack of renunciation, and lack of religious practice, three things, you know, he fails to attain perfection in yoga siddhi, samsiddhim. Therefore, he becomes deviated from the path of obtaining perfection, brahmana pati. If he deviates from the path of yoga, he loses both paths and he will not become completely destroyed. And will he not become completely destroyed just like a riven cloud? So here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur uses the, of course, in Bengali, I don't know what it was spoken, but it is riven cloud. Prabhupada uses that term. Okay, Arjuna, now you can see he is disturbed and he is expressing Etanme samshayam Krishna Chetum arhasya sheshata Tvad anya samshayasyasya Chetanahi upapadyate. You should fully destroy Chetum arasi asheshata. Asheshata means completely destroy this doubt of mine. My doubt, Etad me samshayam. Oh Krishna, no one can be the destroyed. Cheta nahi upapadyate, destroyed. Asya samshayasya, except you. Tvanya. I don't see anyone. He's highly disturbed when he is surrendering to Krishna. I cannot surrender to anyone, even to Vyas. I don't see anyone in this universe. And my senses are drying up. You know, even if I attain the sovereignty of the heavenly planets, they'll not attain happiness. So I'm surrendering to you. So that's when he is also disturbed. So here also you can see that. So it's a very difficult phase, especially for a brahmachari who has spent 20 years in the ashram and then he's not had that internal purification. And then he's battling internally and externally he feels, in the grahastha ashram, it will be difficult for him, because he is not having that energy. And if he marries and then there is again some break in that, so neither way he's successful, So this is what exactly is the situation. The compilers of the scriptures are not omniscient, but you are supreme controller, therefore you are omniscient. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. Vishwanath Thakur doesn't have a commentary on this. Other than you, no one else can possibly remove this doubt. Therefore, please mercifully remove this doubt of mine. Now the Lord starts speaking. So 6:40 to 45 he answers. And then after answering, he comes back to the Ashtanga Yoga discussion, how the yogi is the topmost yogi. And then, is there any higher yogi than this? Then he speaks about the Bhakti yogi, who is the topmost among all the yogis. So let's take up this section now. Before we take up this section, up till now, do you have any questions? We can take up. Any questions, any clarifications? You have. No. Okay. So I'll continue then. भारतनेवैह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति. O son of Partha, he does not meet destruction. Immediately, he pacifies Arjuna. Na eva tasya vinasha vidyate. And not only in this life, in the next. Iha amutra. Iha means in this life, not in the next. One who has done the auspicious work of yoga. Kalyanakrit. So Kalyanakrita refers to all the paths of transcendence. It includes even Karma Yoga, which is aimed at liberation, because aimed at self-realization, because self-realization is transcendence, And then there is uh, Gyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So all these paths, Kalyanakrit, these are all Kalyanakrit paths. Does not meet any unfortunate end. Nahi kaschit durgatim agachati. Oh my son. So, at this point in the Bhagavad Gita, as I was mentioning, Krishna, Arjuna is quite disturbed. So Krishna, just like the father keeps his hand on the son's shoulder, to pacify him, Krishna is keeping his hand on Arjuna's shoulder and he's addressing him, Tata, oh my son. Very beautiful, very Rasika understanding. He does not have destruction in this life or in the next. Iha Amutra. Having performed yoga which gives auspiciousness, Kalyankrit, he does not attain a destination of suffering. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has an elaborate commentary on this. It's one of the best commentaries I've seen. No? Please hear very carefully. O Partha, one who engages in the practice of yoga never meets destruction either now, iha, or in the future, amutra. The performer of that yoga, which leads to the eternal good, can never be subject to an evil fate. So this is Kalyanakrit. Kalyanakrit means which is aiming at transcendence. Then what is yoga? Basically, all of humanity is divided into two categories: righteous, regulated, or unrighteous, unregulated. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes into a systematic analysis now. He'll come to this, The behavior of the unregulated people is always like that of animal, whether they are cultured or uncultured, dull or intelligent, weak or strong. So those who are unregulated means those who are not following the path of the Vedas. There is no possibility of any good coming from their activities. So from these activities, there is no Kalyanakrit coming. The righteous regulated can be divided into three: Karmi, Jnani, and Bhakta. So the regulated are three: Karmi, Jnani, and Bhakta. Karmis are further divided into two: Sakama Karmi and Nishkama Karmi. The Sakama Karmi hanker for petty kinds of happiness or temporary pleasures. That is Swarga. Although they attain heavenly planet and worldly progress, all of their pleasures are temporary. So even this is not Kalyanakrita, the Sarkam Karmis. Therefore, that which is called Kalyan, auspicious for the Jiva, is unknown to them. Because eternity or transcendence is not the goal, or self-realization is not their goal, and that's why it is in technically, if you see, sakama karma yoga is not there. They're called as sakama karmis. The state of auspiciousness of the jiva is to become free from the grip or worldliness and to attain eternal bliss. Oh, eternal bliss, twice it has come. Therefore, any process that does not lead to this eternal bliss is futile. So, karma yoga, sakama karma is futile because it is not leading to eternal bliss. Only when the purpose of achieving this eternal happiness is combined with karma kanda activities can such activities be called karma yoga. So, when it will become karma yoga, when you start performing a prescribed duty, is not for attaining heaven, but to attain liberation, because the soul is eternal and it needs an eternal goal. So only when the purpose is eternal happiness, then it is Karma Yoga. First, the heart is purified by such Karmaga, and then one attains Gyan. So by performing Nishkam Karma Yoga, the Antakaran is purified. Then one attains Gyan. After that, one engages in Dhyan Yoga, meditation, and then finally, the zenith of all processes, the path of Bhakti Yoga is attained. Okay. Otherwise, the purport of yoga is among such yogis, those who worship me with bhakti are my devotees and are the best of sadhakas. That is, otherwise, the purport of yoga, yoginam api sarvesham. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is, in one sense, he is quoting here, who is the best? He is the best sadhaka and the best yogi. He is the bhakti yogi, and the best sadhana is bhakti yoga. So, I had been, discussing quite for a long time in this whole discussion that even in our practice of bhakti, there are bhakti at different levels we perform. So can anyone tell me what are those which we have been discussing? Anyone remembers? Anyone remembers? Navneet Kalra Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Danvat.
Yes.
Bhakti Yoga at the platform of Karam Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga at the platform of Jnana Yoga and Shuddha Bhakti.
Yeah, not at the platform Bhakti Yoga, at the level of Bhakti Yoga, at the level of Jnana Yoga, and
And
at the level of Karma Yoga. You know?
Karma Yoga.
Yeah. So although we practice Bhakti Yoga, but we are practicing Bhakti Yoga at the level of Karma Yoga, and that's why chapters 1 to 6 also we should thoroughly study. Now, where we engage the senses and dowdle the senses in Krishna service, you know, and purify the senses. There is also when we engage the senses directly in Krishna service. So the direct service is, Shravanam, Kirtanam. The eyes are engaged in seeing the darshan of the Lord, ears are engaged in hearing the Krishna Katha. And there is indirect. Indirect is when we engage the senses, in any karma, for maintenance of the body, and that we dovetail to Krishna. You know, we offer it to Krishna. So it becomes Arpanam, Krishna Arpanam. So these are the two things we do, and that's why this Bhakti is Mishra. It's not Shuddha. So we have to do this over a period of time and gradually purify the senses. When the senses get purified, and when the purified senses are engaged in only 9 limbs of bhakti or 64 limbs, as it is mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita. And we are in the upadhi that I am Atma, Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam, Tatparatvaina Nirmalam, Rishikena Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. At that time, the Antakaran has purified, the mind and the intelligence is purified, all the doubts are cleared. So then it is like Bhakti Yoga at the level of Jnana Yoga, you know. And at this stage also, when we do our japa, it's deep absorption. We do a deep absorption, deep meditation. So this is also like Ashtanga Yoga within Bhakti Yoga practice and Jnana Yoga within Bhakti. And then with this practice, when we attain perfection, you know, then it is like, when we offer the pure mind and the intelligence and the heart to Krishna, Mayeva mana adasva, Mayi buddhim nivashyasi mameva ata urdham na samshaya, 12.8 in the Bhagavad Gita. So that's like Bhakti Yoga at the level of Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, which has attained sadhya. I mean, this is Bhakti Yoga at the level of sadhana. And both this sadhana and sadhya, these are both pure devotional service. Please remember, pure devotional service. But here, the bhakti is not pure devotional service because it is mixed. It is mixed. We have to understand this. It is mixed. So we should make endeavors to, you know, go from here and come at this level. Because from here, the progress is there. Significant progress we can make. And that's why, I'm just reading this purport. You can see how all this progression is given here also. However, no matter how many such austerity one may perform, one's goal is only sense pleasure and nothing else. Wait, 1 minute. Is it connected? 1 minute, let me see. Give me a minute, please. Uh, what happened? Oh, 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 oh. Somehow, one page is either missing or yeah. However, no matter how much such austerity one may perform one's goal is only sense pleasure, nothing else. The demons, after achieving the results of history, simply enjoy their senses. On the other hand, when a person performs his prescribed duties beyond the boundaries and the desire of sense for enjoyment, he enters into Nishkam Karma Yoga, which aims at the eternal good of the Jiva. This is Kalyanakrit. A Dhyan Yogi or a Gyan Yogi who is firmly situated in the path of Nishkam Karma Yoga. So, one who is situated firmly in the path of Nishkam Karma Yoga, he can be a Gyan Yogi also, and he can be a Dhyan Yogi. We have seen that. Or by worship Bhagavan by selflessly offering him the fruits of his work, often naturally performs action for the eternal good of all beings. Kalyanakrit. In every respect, an Ashtanga Yogi surpasses whatever result a Jiva attains by performing his prescribed duty with a desire for fruits. Sakama Karmi. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here. So there is something in between which is missing, frankly speaking. And yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, correct. However, no, nothing is missing. Correct. Okay. प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां लोकान् उषित्वा शाश्वती समा सुचिनां श्रीमतां गेहे योगभ्रष्टो विजायते. After attaining the worlds of pious, प्राप्य पुण्यकृतां lokam and living there for long years, उषित्वा शाश्वती समान. Shashwati means Shashwat ke liye, but actually it is long years. That's heaven. The fallen yogi, Yoga Brashta, is born in the house of religious and wealthy. Suchinam Srimatam. So Arjuna, you see, he was thinking of the riven cloud. He is neither attaining success in Karma Yoga, Swarga, nor is attaining liberation, practice of Ashtanga Yoga. But now when Krishna speaks, because it is Kalyanakrita, without practicing Karma Yoga, he is in the path of yoga now. He attains Swarga also. And he attains the goal of Ashtanga Yoga because he is born in the family of Suchinam, where he can continue his yoga. So he gets both results. Then what destination does he attain? He attains a planet where those who perform Ashwamedh sacrifice go. Punyakartan Lokan. The result of yoga is both liberation and material enjoyment. So both he gets. In this case, the painful yogi, having the desire for enjoyment, having fallen from yoga, attains material enjoyment. The perfected yogi, however, because of not having desires for material enjoyment, attain liberation. But not one who is not perfect, he'll attain material enjoyment first. Some yogis, even though perfected by fate, have a desire to enjoy, and they accept such enjoyment. Examples are Kardamuni and Saubari. Kardamuni is because the Lord gave him this. Saubari means because he committed offerings to Garuda. Such fallen yogis, after enjoying materially, Saubari Muni married 50 daughters of Mandata, I think, are born in the houses of those performing proper religious acts, Suchinam, and those who are wealthy merchants or kings, Srimatam. They become Raj Rishis. Okay, Bhaktivinoda Thakur doesn't have a commentary on this. Atava yoginam eva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabataram lokajanma yadrisham. Or if he has practiced for a long time, Atava, he is born in the family of intelligent yogis. Dhimatam yoginam kule bhavati. Such a birth, yad idrisham janma, is more difficult to obtain. Durlabhataram in this world. Etadhi loke. Now, Krishna spoke about one who has practiced for short time. He goes, enjoys in the heavenly planets and comes born. But one who has practiced for a long time and is still not attained perfection, he will be immediately born in the family of great yogis, yogina. The destination of yogis who fell after doing a little practice has been described in the previous verse. This verse describes the different destination of yogis who fell after practicing for a long time. They are born in the family of yogis such as Nimi. That's what, you know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. By attaining such a birth, they obtain high class association from the very beginning of their life. Thus, it becomes easier for those jivas to make further advancement. Okay. Now, both these class, one you have practiced for short time and long time. तत्र तं बुद्धि संयोगं लभते पौर्वदेहिकं यतते च ततो भूयः Samsiddho Kurunandana. In those two situations, Satratam, he attains the state of his previous birth. Labate Paurvadekam, he remembers his practices from his previous birth. Along with faith in Paramatma, Buddhi Samyogam, and strives again for complete perfection. Tato Bhuya Samsiddho Yatate. Yatate means he endeavors. O son of the Kurus, Kurunandana. In these two types of birth, Tatra, he attains a state of mind for his previous life, Paurvadahikam, with faith in Paramatma, Buddhi Samyoga. So this refers to faith in Paramatma because Ashtanga yogis have, for Bhakti Yogi, it is faith in Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Then, Purvabhyasena teneva riyate hi avishopi sa jigyasurapi yogasya shabda brahmati vartate. He is attracted, sa riyate, to that previous practice. Teneva purva abhyasena, even against his will. Avashapi. He is naturally having attraction. Inquisitive about yoga, Jigyasurapi yoga se, he surpasses the materialistic path of Vedas. Shabda Brahma Ativartate. That means he surpasses the Karma Kanda portion of Vedas. Attracted by previous practice, he becomes inquisitive about yoga and surpasses the path of karma mentioned in the Vedas, Shabda Brahma, but this time remains fixed on the path of yoga. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. By virtue of his previous practice, a person inquisitive of Yoga Shastra surpasses the path of fruitive action, Sakama Karma, described in the Vedas. In other words, by neglecting the fruitive results of sarma kam karma, he obtains a superior result. Now, then he starts endeavoring. Prayatnadyatmanastu yogi samshiddha kalbasha aneka janma samsiddha tato yati param gatim. That yogi, unlike before, too, striving with full effort. Prayatnat yatamanastu. Now, it's interesting, Prayatnat and yatamana. The prayatnat means what? With great effort. Yataman means endeavor. He endeavors with great effort. And here it is mentioned full effort. Becoming purified of his faults. Some Shuddha Kilbisha or sins. And reaching full perfection after many births. Aneka Janma Samsiddhi. Finally attains Tato Yati, the supreme goal of liberation. Param Gatem. The cause of falling from the path is the lack of effort. That has been mentioned before. Though he has faith, he puts forth little effort, ayati. It has been mentioned that the fallen yogi with lax practice attains the practice of yoga again in the next life. However, he does not attain perfection. That will only be attained after many births when his practice becomes mature. But he does not become lax in the yoga practice and cannot be called a fallen yogi. The perfection takes place only after many births of practice. Prayatna Yatamanas. Karda Muni says, Bahujanma Vipakkena Samyak Yoga Samadhina Drashtum Yatante Yatata Shunyagreshu Yatpadam. The yogis attempt to see Drashtum Yatante, your impersonal feature, Tatpadam, in solitary places, Shunyagreshu, by complete samadhi through yoga. Samyak Yoga Samadhina. But this realization is achieved only after many births. Bahujanma Vipakkena. Thus, it is mentioned in this verse that he does not attain perfection in one birth. It takes many births. That's what. He makes great effort, prayatnat yatamana, in this life in contrast to his previous life. Tu, prayatnat yatamanas tu. Tu refers to, compared to the previous life, this life he puts more effort and burns up all faults. But even then, he does not attain perfection in one life. Finally attains perfection. Param gatim. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is the spiritual result of yoga practice. That's it. Only one line Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions. Okay. So the last two verses, as I had mentioned, speak about the topmost yogi fixes his mind on Krishna. So these are the last two verses. So we will take up, and then I will take up question answers. तपस्विभ्यो अधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिक कर्मिभ्यश्च अधिको योगी तस्मात् योगी भव अर्जुन. So there is a gradation here now. You have to understand this. According to me, Mata, the yogi is better than a tapasvi. Tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi. Now, tapasvi Tapasvi is actually an ascetic. An ascetic is one who performs tapasya for attaining material desires. You know, pursuing material desires. He performs a lot of tapasya. So even in this material world now, you can see, to get into IIT or go to America, so much tapasya to do. So this is referring to that. And tapasya adhiko yogi. So this yogi, the Ashtanga yogi, is, superior to the tapasvi and better than the jnani. So here now next is jnani. In one sense, I should write them on the top, because this is on the lower other ladder, jnani. And then karmibhya. Karmibhya here refers to what? Then the fruity worker. Karmibhya. So let us see what we show. Among those practicing karma, jnana, tapa, and yoga, who is the best? So there is karma, jnana, tapa, and yoga. Among the four, who is the best? It is my opinion that the yogi worshipper Paramatma is better than the performer of austerities, such as the difficult Chandrayana Vrata. So this is tapasvi, and is better than the jnanis worshipping Brahman. So you can understand now, no? Tapasvi means actually is performing this Chandrayana Vrata. Note, however, many end up merging in the impulsive Brahman as stated in verse 15. So jnanis worshipping Brahman, they end up merging there. Note, this is the fast in which everyday food is decreased by a mouthful during the waning phase of the moon and increased by a mouthful per day during the waxing phase. So this is Chandrayana Vrata. If the yogi is better than the jnanis, it goes without saying that he is better than the karmis. So that's what the hierarchy is, right? Bhaktivinoda. After the highest deliberation, it becomes clear that the karma yogi is superior to the ascetic, one who pursues material desires by performing severe austerity. So, karma yogi is superior to ascetic. Karmyabhya pa adhika, that's why, I hope you got the hierarchy now. The Gyan yogi is superior to the karma yogi. And the yogi is superior to mundane fruitive worker, karmi. Therefore, Arjuna become a yogi. Tasmat yogi bhavarjuna. Okay, now Krishna has said that Arjuna should become a yogi. Then Arjuna has a doubt. Is there any person who is better than this yogi, Ashtanga yogi? Krishna now reveals this in this verse. Yoginamapi sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam samayukta tamo mata. But I consider me mata. Now Krishna is giving his opinion. According to me, who is the topmost yogi? He who worships me. Yogi nam api sarveshana madgatena. Madgatena means he worships me. Mad. Mad means, me. Attached to me. How? With Shraddha, faith. Shraddhavan. Bhajate. And first time this word bhajate has come. Mind attached to me. Madgaten antaratmana. His heart is, fixed in me to be the greater than all types of yogis. Karma yogi, tapasvi, jnani, karmi, everyone. Yogi nam api sarvesham yukta tama. He is the yukta tama. Yukta, yukta tara, yukta tama. He is the best among all. So this is the last. We will just go through this now. Then, is there no one better than a yogi? Arjuna has this question. No, that cannot be said. In this verse, the possessive case of yoginam stands for the ablative as in the previous verse, as it is more suitable in the context. He who worships me with faith is greater than all the yogis who are greater than jnanis, tapasvis, and karmis. The devotee is not just superior to one type of yogi, but is superior to all types of perfected yogis. Those in sampragyatma samadhi and those in asampragyata samadhi. Or another meaning is among all the processes yoga, such as karma yoga, jnana yoga, tapa yoga, ashtanga yoga, and bhakti yoga, he who worships me, he who is my devotee, is the best process. Yukta Atma. It's the best. The karmis, tapasvis, and the jnanis are considered yogis. The ashtanga yogi is a better yogi. He who practices bhakti with hearing and chanting, however, is the best yogi. Yoga yukta tama. As is said in the Bhagavatam, Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishapi mahamune. O great sage Mahamune, greater than those who are Jivan Mukta and greater than those who can attain liberation. Muktanam api siddhanam. The Muktas are Jivan Muktas. Siddhas are who attain liberation. Is a devotee of Narayan, Narayan Parayana, such a devotee who is in Shant or other rasas, Prashantatma, is very rare, Sudurlabha, even among 10 million people. Kotishwapi. This verse, a concise statement of bhakti, which will be defined in the middle six chapters, is like a thread-like ornament on the neck of the devotees. The first chapter introduces the dialogue to the Gita. The second, third, and the fourth chapters deal with Nishkama Karma. The fifth deals with Gyan, and the sixth with Ashtanga. But the main topic of the first six chapters is Karma Yoga. We established that how even in Ashtanga Yoga there is Nishkam Karma Yoga we saw in the beginning stages of their practices. The commentary on the sixth chapter for the joy of the devotees has been completed by the mercy of the Acharyas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Amongst all types of yogis, one who practices Bhakti Yoga is superior. One who performs worship me with faith is the best of the yogis. Amongst righteous, regulated human beings, the Nishkama Karmi, the Jnani and the Ashtanga Yogi and the practitioner of Bhakti Yoga are all yogis, whereas Sakama Karmi is not. In fact, yoga is one, not two. Yoga is the progressive path on which there are various steps. Taking shelter of this path, the Jiva situates himself on the path of transcendental realization. Brahmanapati. Worshipping Bhagavan by selflessly offering him the results of one prescribed duty, Nishkama Karma Yoga, is the first step. The first step of yoga is this. When the cultivation of knowledge, jnana and detachment, vairagya are added, it becomes jnana yoga, which is the second step. When meditation on the Supreme Soul, Ishwar, is added to jnana yoga, it becomes ashtanga yoga, the third step. When affection for Bhagavan is added to ashtanga yoga, it becomes bhakti yoga, the fourth step. Devotion in one sense. All these steps combine to constitute the one staircase called yoga. In order to clearly explain this yoga, all other types of yoga which are only partial have been delineated. Actually, Krishna only wants to speak to about Bhakti Yoga. In order to clearly explain this yoga, that is Bhakti Yoga, all other types of yoga which are only partial have been delineated. So Prabhupada, in his purport to this, he makes a very interesting point, and I want to bring that out, why we should study this. Prabhupada is following Bhaktivinoda Thakur there. Although when we study the here it is, I think. Yeah, this is where Prabhupada is exactly quoting Bhaktivinoda Thakur here. Culmination of all yoga practice Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are but the means to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progression towards the destination Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way of self-realization. Karma Yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of this path. So this is exactly Bhaktivinoda Thakur verbatim. When Karma Yoga increases knowledge and relation, it's called as Jnana Yoga. When Gyan Yoga increases in meditation on Supersoul by different physical processes in the mind, it is called Ashtanga. When one surpasses Ashtanga and comes to the point of Supreme Personality, it's called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga wrote affection there. Now, factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. To analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to, although we don't practice Karma Yoga, Jnana Ashtanga, we have to understand these other yogas. So that is the reason also we should study this, because ultimately there is Bhakti application also in one sense. So Prabhupada is verbatim speaking from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary. One who desires eternal auspicious takes exclusive shelter of yoga. Yoga means Bhakti Yoga. He progresses gradually on this ladder, first becoming steady on the step he is on and then rising to the next step. When one stops at a particular step, having established himself in that type of yoga, only he is known by the name of that particular yoga. Thus, when a person is on as a karma yogi, thus one person as a karma yogi, one as a jnana yogi, one as ashtanga yogi, another as a bhakti yogi. Therefore, O Partha, one whose supreme objective is to perform bhakti to me only is the topmost among all yogis. You should become that type of yogi, namely a bhakti yogi. So very, very beautiful commentary. So we will stop here, and that completes our 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita today. Om Tat Sat Swaha. Purnahuti has happened today. So any questions you have up till now what we discussed? I can take up. Yes, Navneet Kalra Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
In verse 46, I didn't understand the difference between tapasya and karma yoga. Karma yoga, there is a calm yoga.
You have to understand basically one thing. Tapasvi are those who do severe tapasya you know, to enjoy material results. To enjoy material results. Okay, that is the tapasi. They are called as ascetics. One who pursue material desires by performing severe austerities. And there is Gyan Yogi. Gyan Yogi is very clear. And there is below Gyan is the Karma Yogi. The Karma Yogi is also, Nishkama Karma Yogi, you can say, fruity worker. He has the desire to perform work based on his nature, but he can be Sakam or Nishkam also. But there are others also who are, who perform intense austerity to, uh, to pursue their material desires. So that's, I'm just giving you some example. Sometimes people, in this world perform intense austerity just to go to America. You know that, right? So just, and because they have this material desire, so that is not a highly advanced stage in one sense, although there is such intense austerity. But the karmi is superior compared to this tapasvi, you know. And naturally, the jnani is superior to the karmi, but the ashtanga yogi is superior to the jnani also. Now you get the point?
Why is karmi superior to tapasvi?
And that's what I
If both
mentioned.
are
I mentioned
sakam.
even if they both have succumbed, they perform very intense austerities to fulfill their material desires. Like, you start doing a dharna, you start
Okay.
fasting, that, in order to get this thing done, we will do fast and, it's very intense tapasya, you know. So that's the kind of, like Hiranyakashipu, doing tapasya in order to, get powers, So that's more tamasic, you can say.
Okay.
Whereas, Sakam Karma is more Rajasic, like that. So in that also there are
Okay.
levels, you can say. Got it?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Any other questions anyone else has? Any other clarifications? Okay, so we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.